Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Really? Interesting. What's the weather like there? Really? Wow. Yeah. My God, it's not like here. Or actually, I literally left and it was like normal. It was like, it hardly even felt like fall yet. And suddenly I get back and it's basically winter now, aside from no snow. Oh my God. And like, before we start, you want to hear the story. So I was working in Southern Idaho right after Wildhorse. And like a whole bunch of people were there from G2. Because I guess G2 and ERA are like teaming up on all these projects, including Fallon. I didn't know what part of Fallon they had. I should have asked when Joanna was there. But yeah, apparently after Dana divorced Mark, one of the project managers tried to sign her up with Bumble. Guess who was in the first list of matches that came up for Dana Giambattiani? Paul Sanchez. And I know I can't tell that on the air, so I figured I'd do it now. Hang on, I'm just eating. Wait, my chewing gum through? Good, and I got some crazy kind of it's a long story, but I got some crazy sort of air filter under my desk to account for the smoke, and I'm wondering if that comes through either, or if it's just like quiet when I'm not talking. Oh, perfect. All right, because it literally sounds like a giant computer fan under here. Oh, perfect. All right. All right, I think we're good. We're live on all the other things, so let me go live. Here. Uh-oh. Oh, good. Alrighty. So it's still there? Oh, that's because I brushed against the mic when I was moving my webcam. Hang on. So let's go live. So theoretically, it should be going live now. Damn, you can't. I realized you can't even see like the coolest thing I'm gonna like try. It's a very long story, but I now have a respirator and desperately need it for where I'm working. So you can't react to it. I'm like, damn it. Just let me know. Perfect. And hang on, let me make sure our mics are dead.
Archaeology! Get out of there, Dan!
And we should be live now, complete with audio.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the first live show we've had in, what, a month?
It feels like it. I was trying to look it up. But at least now we're back in the studio, our respective studios, as opposed to out in the wild. Oh, that was kind of cool.
There you go. All right, let me mute my side. It sounds like our audio is working well. I just checked it on Facebook. If you're listening to this, Amy, I see you. I know you said you have somewhere to be at, I think that's in 20 minutes your time, because I'm on the East Coast now. So, but hey, if you hear any oddness in our audio, then let me know. So. All right.
Let me get the chat app out. This is wow.
Yeah. Let me do an introduction for those listening on the audio version of this. But hello and welcome to the Archaeology Show. This is a semi-regular live show that we do with Chris Webster and Richie Cruz. And these days we're in usually opposite parts of the country. The last time we did this, we were at an RV park in northeastern Nevada together. And so if you want to check that out, you can check it out on the Facebook page for the Archaeology Podcast Network or at Happy Archaeology Fun Time. That was live on YouTube, so you should be up there now. So now I'm in North Carolina, and Richie is back home in Reno, and we're getting the show done. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I did want to say I was just listening on the way back to the 200th episode of the CRM Arc podcast.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, goddamn, I should have submitted a favorite memory, but my favorite memory was was before the show even started when we were working at 395 together, and he told me about your old podcast, and I went and actually listened to it.
So you're the one. Yeah.
Like the one listener.
Actually, you know who an early listener to that show was? Because I said I was going to cancel it, and that's when I heard from her.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jennifer Palmer, who runs
Really?
Archaeology Fieldwork. Yeah, she said she listened to that show because she liked hearing about CRM news and didn't really want to go out and find it herself, which is the whole point of the podcast. So
that's true.
It was it was great. That was really encouraging. I don't know how I interacted with her to get her to say that, where she said that to me, but I was saying something about quitting it or something like that. Maybe it was in a blog post. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then yeah, shortly, I think it was only a couple months later that I started the CRM Archaeology podcast, because there was a little bit of a hiatus there where we were getting that set up. So, but the 200 was fun, and this is a little bit of a preview. Yeah, this is a little bit of a preview for those of you that listen to the CRM Archaeology podcast. But if you don't, we got a note, because I often in our podcast I'll say some, some offhand thing that's like, I don't know why you would listen to this.
Is this the thing I saw on Slack?
Yeah. Ooh. So I'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, I don't know why you would listen to this show if you're not a CRM archaeologist, right? Like, why would you ever listen to that show? Yeah. And I know that we have some listeners that do listen to it for various reasons. And we got an email from a gentleman that works at NASA, and he was like, yeah, I'm fascinated by this stuff. This is great. And it's a really cool topic. So we ended up using one of his suggestions, which was basically, he said what he would want to know, because the whole reason for him emailing was I asked people, what do you want to hear about? What other topics, what things you want us to talk about? Yeah. And he said from his side of things, from not being an archaeologist or even in the field remotely, his concern was what keeps us going? Why do we keep doing this field that we complain so much about? Why do we, we have so many negative things to say about the job of archaeology and being an archaeologist? I mean, we all love doing archaeology and the history of it and that whole thing. But why do we keep doing this miserable job if we, if we don't like it? And that's what we spent the whole hour talking about.
Oh, really? Because I was going to say that I don't know if you probably brought it up, but you have to look at it from how many nights have you been in the motel parking lot drinking beers and having good conversations? That's the best time of you've had all year.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
Or how many are camping or whatever.
Right.
I don't suppose you actually talked about that.
Well, I mean, everybody had their own opinions. We actually had quite a few on the show. It was obviously myself, Bill White, Doug Rox McQueen, although he showed up in segment 2 because he got the time. They went through a time change in Scotland. They did it a week before us. So he got the times wrong. So I was talking about it on Slack. And then Bill White was there, and then Sonia showed up for another episode. She's been MIA for a lot of episodes because she's been so busy, but she showed up I think 2 episodes ago, and then for this recording too. So that was good to see her there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my fans on. I hope that's not too noisy. Let me know if it is.
Oh,
I'm in the. Let me shut off my background real quick.
Yeah. Oh, wait, are you in the camper right now?
Yeah. This is not a camper, Richie. This is a motor coach. Campers are for children. This is a.
Yeah.
Let me get back behind my mic. So I bought a. Well, for the first probably 6 weeks that we owned this RV, when we were traveling up around the Pacific Northwest, I basically made my office up front here in the passenger seat where I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason for that was I've got 2 big flat spots in front of me on the dash where I was able to put my 27-inch iMac and my 27-inch Thunderbolt display, and that's where I had them. There really wasn't any other place to do that, right? I mean, I could have set them on the dinette, but it would have taken up all the space, and I hadn't lowered the dinette to make that actually useful yet.
Oh.
And so it just wasn't going to work, right? But I had to set them up. Basically, every time we went somewhere, I had to get them off our bed and put them somewhere, and I put them here. And but then I got rid of those when we went back to Reno in August. I sold both of those, and now I just have my laptop. So pretty much ever since we left Reno at the end of August and we started that archaeology project in September, and now we've been traveling around for the last almost 2 months, I haven't used this front space at all because I've just been sitting at the dinette or sitting at the couch or sitting outside. But I set up in front here again because I'm kind of reinvigorated on using this as an office space. And one of the reasons why I haven't been is because I'm on Zoom calls a lot. And when I'm on Zoom calls and I'm up here with my camera on, you can just see the entire living space of my RV, which I don't really care about. But my wife, is not on camera, but she ends up being on camera when that's happening. Whatever she's watching on TV, you can see. She's just walking around. She wants her privacy, so this screen I bought as a projector screen for my small projector, which really isn't going to work out because it's not it's A, not dark enough for that projector, and B, the projector is not bright enough. It's probably a 8-year-old little Pico projector, and it's just
Ah,
not. It just doesn't cut it right. I have to have it set too far back to
yeah.
have a big enough screen to be useful, and then the resolution on that screen is so low I can't fit too much on there, and it's not really
Ah,
dark enough to use it effectively. So I think it's still a
ah,
good solution to put a projector screen on the front window here,
yeah.
and then have a projector sitting like right here as a second screen shooting on there. But I
Ah.
need a wireless way to project to it, and I also need just a brighter projector. So I think that's a more
Hmm.
long-term solution. But in the meantime, I hooked up this 12-foot wide screen
Yeah.
across the passenger area on the area on the coach here. So there's the dinette, so you can see back behind me.
Ah.
So now I basically effectively cut off that space from up here, and it works. It gives me a nice clean background. Although
Yeah.
this is the first time I've used it. I set it up 10
Oh,
minutes
really?
before this call.
Oh.
Um, yeah, we just moved to this space yesterday and haven't actually done much today in the way of meetings. I had 2 meetings, but they were phone meetings, so I
Ah.
just didn't have anything set up.
Doesn't
And
matter then.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. But this is my first video meeting, so I figured,
Yeah.
I better set it up, and I've got another one in an hour. So
Yeah.
uh, so that'll be fun. And I'm thinking though, I might have to refactor it just a little bit because I don't like how it doesn't come all the way to the floor here. That's just me
Oh, I
though.
see that.
I like this. I like it to be,
Yeah.
covering the whole thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, this is good. But the downside is,
Yeah.
in the hot of the day, and even though it's not that hot out today, it's 66 degrees outside, but
Ooh.
I'm surrounded by, about 80 square feet of windows. And it's getting warm up here. So I turned on the house fans, and
Ah.
like those trucker fans that are up in the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
I turned those on just now, and hopefully they're not too loud. But I
I don't
like
think
having
so.
my mic back. Yeah, I like having this. I might actually set up my good SM58. The only reason I haven't done that is because I need the mixer, which I actually left in Reno. But I can use the the Zoom H6 that I've got
Yeah.
as the audio interface for that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a little more comfortable set up here, I might get all that hooked up and have a little better microphone next time. It says this ATR 2100 is not bad,
No.
but might have to run up that the good mic because I haven't used it in a while. So anyway, yeah, so we're sitting here in my wife keeps correcting me. It's not Newton, it's Newport, North Carolina,
Bah.
right near Emerald Isle, which is easier to find. Emerald Isle is like this island out to
Oh.
the east of us, which we just drove around this morning, and we're pretty much right on the intercoastal waterway. It's really
Ah.
close to our campsite here, and in fact, we can walk down to an access point for it, and it's really nice campground. They have a really big water slide that looks like it's built on top of an Indian burial mound. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's not. It's just a huge pile of dirt, but
Eh.
it looks like a mound. And it
Oh,
goes into
wait,
a
is
really
it
huge swimming pool.
is it still tick season?
I don't think so. Not usually by fall. If it is, it's the very tail end of it because it's starting to get down into the 50s at night, and ticks don't like the
Eh.
50s.
Well,
So,
that's just like I thought it was not snake season, but it's definitely snake season where I'm working.
yeah.
Oh, but before we even get on to like our life updates, I did want to say I was watching some reviews of the new iPhone 12, and I'm thinking the only thing that was cool to me was the MagSafe charger. That's like the only thing that caught my attention.
Well, now that honestly, there's 2 other things because now that they've got, I just saw a report this morning because they started getting shipped to regular people, right? It's not
Yeah.
just review copies. So that when you did the pre-order, they started coming on Friday, I think, just a couple
Oh.
days ago as we're recording this.
Yeah.
And so now people have them in their hands and they're doing benchmark tests and real world tests and stuff like that. And the typical benchmark test for speed,
Yeah.
for basically load speed, is you start a stopwatch on. Typically, people will do it on another iPhone or something, but you start a
Yeah.
stopwatch with the lap timer, right? And you open up a sequence of applications and you let them go through their entire startup sequence,
Oh.
and then you hit the lap and you do all those applications again. And the speed with which they load the second time
Yeah.
really tells you how fast the thing is
Oh.
going from a processing standpoint. I mean, the initial speed is, of course, a factor, right? In the phone that you're using. But then the second speed is basically a factor of how much RAM you have. And that's the thing that Apple didn't really talk about in the keynote, because that's one of the specifications that they don't really dig into, but it's got
Oh.
6 gigabytes of RAM versus 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Oh, so
as
just like the
old ones used to.
just like the iPad Pro then, the current one.
Yeah, does that have 6?
I
Yeah,
believe
well,
so,
that
because the
makes
old one
sense.
had 4.
Well, that makes sense for an iPad.
Yeah.
But there's very few phones that have 6. I think they were mentioning one of the Google phones has 6,
Yeah.
but most of them have 4 as kind of like the standard. So they were saying that's one thing that it's kind of beating everybody on is not only the A14 processing chip. It was loading their sequence of apps. They didn't say what apps it was, but it was
Yeah.
loading it in like 2 minutes and 49 seconds or something. Whereas
Ooh.
the iPhone 11 and one of the high-end Google phones, I can't remember which one it was, were loading around 4.5 minutes. So it was almost
Ooh.
2 minutes longer. And
Wow.
and then the second boot,
Ooh.
when it went back through the sequence, was
Yeah.
like 15 seconds total for the iPhone 12, and much longer for the other two. So
Wow.
that's all due to the RAM. But I haven't purchased the iPhone 12 yet, Richie. You know why?
Why not?
Because the iPhone 12 Max Pro pre-orders are next Friday, and that's what I'm getting.
Oh.
So
Oh, cool.
yeah, the 6th of November I think is the date on the pre-orders for that. So I'll have it. Hopefully, if I get it in time, I'll have it a week later. But they've changed the time to be more compatible to human existence for which you can order. It used to be just midnight people would log in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they say pre-orders on Friday, then at midnight on Thursday you can pre-order, and that's what I
Ah.
used to do. And it's if you're in Pacific time zone, that's great. If you're in the Eastern time zone, that's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And now it's 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Eastern. So 8 a.m. Eastern at a very reasonable hour where I've already had 3 cups of coffee. I'll be able to sit and order my iPhone. Of course, what that means is there's going to be a lot more people in line ready to do the same thing. So your chances of getting in the queue early and
Yeah.
getting a phone a week later rather than a month later are
Ooh.
more slim. So
Oh. By the way, have
anyway,
you been checking on the what was it, the iPad Air, the new one?
I've kept my eye on it. I don't think I have a use case for it. We have a lot of the smaller and a few of the normal size iPads. I've got one that's a
Well, I was
yeah.
gonna say it's interesting because the benchmark scores for it are better than the iPad Pro that was just replaced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a newer device, so
Yeah.
and it's really nice too. I mean, if I do get another iPad, which I might, just for various reasons, it might help our digital lives out here and
Yeah.
our streaming lives. I might get another iPad, but I think it would be another iPad Pro 12.1 inch.
Ah.
So yeah, I really like that form factor. I mean, for the smaller stuff where you need a smaller device, I've got like 3 iPad minis that still work great. And I've got, my wife has an iPad Air, or no, she has an iPad Pro from about 4 years ago, I think.
Oh, so your
and
first one.
3 or 4 years ago. Well, actually, we even bought that used. We bought it from somebody at the Reno Collective where I used to work. My first iPad of that size is hanging on the wall, and it's like running through our 2020 photo stream.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting?
But we have those if we need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not to jump in, but I was gonna say that I was thinking that if I like got back on like a gig where I was like on the road a lot, that I would get like maybe an iPad Pro or something because I needed a computer to do video editing that was like less than $1,000. You know, that was like my target like price. And for people who are out there who are like looking for a new laptop, be aware that the Ryzen laptop chips like have really changed the game because when they were originally first introduced, it was like a lot of shrugs because they didn't seem to offer anything more than the Intel competition. But when they actually got in the real world and people were testing them out, you could buy a $600 laptop that was basically almost hit all the same benchmarks as a $2,000 laptop. Which is like
nice.
Which is insane. Obviously you give up a few things, like they're not as well built as like, you know, my office or my office grade laptops, but you know, for $600 and if I'm only using it for video editing, it's not going to last that long.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just a word of advice for anyone who's looking for a laptop, get one now.
There you go. Yep. I've been considering not a new, well, I've been considering a new device only just because of some issues, but I think I might actually just go the iPad route. Unfortunately, I still need a laptop or desktop style computer for just a handful of things.
Same here.
One of those is posting podcasts. Because I post podcasts through a hosting service called Megaphone, and as everybody knows, we have ads in our podcast, and because that's how we pay the bills here. So if you're interested in advertising,
Yeah.
advertising at archaeologypodcastnetwork.com. Talk to Madison. But anyway,
Yeah.
in order to do that, I can upload the episode on an iPad. I
Yeah.
can do all the show notes. I can do everything, but I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do the interface that allows me to place the ad markers and then choose the number of ads. They're whatever code they're using for that interface is not compatible to mobile, and the iPad won't call up won't work and call up the desktop site if I even call up, because it doesn't have a mobile equivalent. So I'm always on the desktop site on the iPad, but it's just that interface is not conducive to finger touching. It's only responding to like mouse inputs or trackpad inputs, and I can't move the thing around in there, and it's infuriating.
Wait, I thought the latest version of iOS had mouse support.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I go get a mouse that I can hook up to that, yes, I can 100% solve my own problem.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's irritating to me that I can't just do it on the screen, right? Because that's kind of the thing. So if I do end up replacing my full-time computing device with an iPad, and I get the 12.1, I'm probably gonna. I already have one of them. It's just the screen's got some issues and it's not quite as fast because it's like 4 years old now. It's the first one.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've got some dead spots on the screen for the pencil. It's weird.
Oh, really?
It works fine with the finger, but it doesn't work with a pencil.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just some weird little spots. But anyway,
wow.
If I do end up going mostly full time with an iPad, I'm probably going to end up getting, even though I've seen mixed reviews, I've seen some really great reviews too. For the Apple, what do they call that? The Magic Keyboard with the display holder. And then the keyboard,
hang on.
and then it's actually got a trackpad on it.
Well, the problem is they have many keyboards, and so now it's kind of hard to keep track of it. Let me look it up.
No, it's the flagship one that Apple's promoting, and I think it's called like the Magic Keyboard or something like that for iPad specifically. There's only one of them.
Ah, wait, I think you're.
And the whole thing, when it sits up, it doesn't sit on the keyboard. It sits on the it hovers above the keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's a trackpad on it.
Yeah, there definitely is. Although it makes me wonder if you could balance it on. I guess not many people balance their laptops on their lap, unless unless they're working in the car.
I mean, this is not designed for lap use. You know what I mean? This is designed for table use for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, I totally.
That's the route I might go, but well, the whole issue that I'm trying to figure out is, really, I've got your words in my brain going. Taking me to task for saying it was the last computer I'm ever going to buy. But what I'm thinking of, if I want to get a new device and something that's a little more portable, and I'll tell you the other big reason we're buying an iPad here in a second, but if I end up getting that new iPad and I end up getting the one that I want with probably 512 gigabytes hard drive space and the faster processor and you get the Magic Keyboard thing with that whole setup. I mean, you're looking at a cost of like $2,400.
I know.
For basically a tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, that makes sense if our computers are all going to tablets, right? If we're just going to be paying those prices, we're used to paying those for laptops. We just got to start getting used to paying for something that doesn't look like a laptop but has all the functionality of a laptop. If that's what it is, that's what we're paying for.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, because a new laptop, if I were to go down that road, you got to kind of go big or go home, as you know, right? Because if you want it to be functional for more than 4 or 5 years, you need to get the best thing you can get right now. And the best MacBook Pro on the market right now, it would be about $4,500.
Yeah, so but didn't that guy at the Collective say that it was like, light years ahead of his old one?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's amazing. But that's the question I'm trying to answer, is the stuff I'm doing, does it really need that much power?
It depends.
You know what I mean?
Because for me, the reason I'm going to get a new laptop is specifically for video editing. That's the only thing that's going to be loaded on it is like video editing and graphic design programs, and that's it. Because otherwise, if Apple would just like change the way it handled file transfers on the iPads, I would probably just get an iPad Pro because LumaFusion is good enough-ish. It's not like it's not a actual full replacement, but it like is good enough when you get the footage on, but it takes like forever from what I can tell. And I was looking up this morning, I was looking it up because I wanted to buy an external SSD, and I was like trying to figure out if how iPads handle it, and they only use them as transfer devices. You cannot keep your footage on there,
Mm-hmm.
which would mean I would need to get like the biggest whatever iPad I could get,
Right.
like whatever.
Right.
Whereas, and that doesn't make me feel that comfortable. I like having files in more than one places, at least, initially.
Well, most of the programs I've seen, I mean, you can't, like on a laptop, you can work from Dropbox, for example.
Mm.
You can work from Google Drive. You can work from an external drive, right? You can
Yeah.
just, like an external cloud drive if you've got the Wi-Fi to handle it.
Yeah.
This is why I would want a bigger laptop, though, or a bigger,
Yeah.
not only a bigger laptop, but a bigger iPad, right? Because my laptop's only 256 gigabytes. So if I got the
Yeah.
512 or even the 1 terabyte iPad, I would be able to download stuff from Dropbox to the device, work on it,
Yeah.
and then upload it back to Dropbox from the device. So
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, the working files are going to be on my tablet, and if I have a catastrophic failure, I lost the working files, but I won't lose the original files because they'll still be in the cloud.
But also,
You know?
it also depends on the speed because, like, I've watched a lot of videos where people were trying to transfer their video files onto the iPad, and it seems like it takes
Mhm.
a lot longer than it would just plug it into like a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, and the files I get, like, they already don't like download fast on my laptop. I can only imagine how much slower it would be on an iPad. Even though
Yeah.
LumaFusion looks like a super cool, video editing program.
Right.
And it would just be like
Yeah.
handier and like have less stuff to bring around. But then, because right now the
Mhm.
setup I'd probably do is I'd probably bring my ThinkPad, the one I use for work, the one I use for administrative tasks when I'm there monitoring, and then
Sure.
keep my video editing laptop in the hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
God.
haven't played too much with LumaFusion. It's I just haven't had the time. I'm trying to keep up on video stuff, and I can't even do that. So, hey,
Oh,
real quick, there's
Yeah.
a comment I missed from Amy because I was on the wrong
I saw
screen,
that.
but she's referencing something I said in the 200 episode of CRM Arc. She says, "Oh, by the way, I'm totally going to go through a bunch of episodes and find all the parts where people don't agree with me. That's going to be a lot of work, Amy, and she's going to cut it all together. It's going to be a lot of work. You're going to have to go back, like on the website, back to episode 1 because I'm sure it started there,
That's
and
true.
yeah, and then keep going. So, hey, speaking of, let's
Yeah.
bring this back to fieldwork a little bit for a
Yeah.
minute
Oh, I was about to
because
too.
I just saw a drive in front of me, and I want to know what you think about these because you kind of keep up
Yeah.
on this stuff. But I'm interested in vehicles now that I can flat tow behind my RV.
Yeah.
And anybody who's researched that would know that it's really hard to find a vehicle that'll
Oh,
flat
yeah.
tow behind an RV without serious modification, or unless it's a manual. My wife won't drive a manual, so if it's an automatic
really?
transmission, yeah, if it's automatic transmission, you need a certain type or certain vehicles that have
Ah.
this disconnect inside of them that will basically allow you to do it without burning up the transmission. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, one of the vehicles that is flat towable just drove by me, and it's that newish Jeep. I think it's called the Renegade, the Jeep truck.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
Yeah, and one person I was talking to about this, they were like, "Well, I don't really get it. I would just buy a truck if I want a truck." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." But two things I'm trying to consider: one, flat towable,
Yeah.
which like the F-150 is flat towable, oddly enough.
Ah.
And like some other bigger trucks are flat towable. But the other
Yeah.
problem is, I get 7 miles to the gallon, right? And I've got a lot of power, but even just towing this small car that we bought, which
Yeah.
weighs I think 2,500 pounds or something like that,
Yeah.
our hitch capacity is only 5,000 pounds. So I
Oh.
can't get a truck. Like even if
Yeah.
I had a manual Tacoma before
Yeah.
we had, I mean, my Tacoma's automatic, but even if I had
Yeah.
a manual, my Tacoma with the topper on it and just the base weight of the truck weighed more than the 5,000 pound
Yeah.
hitch weight.
I'm not
right? So I
surprised by
think
that.
yeah, I think that Tacoma was 5,500 base weight, and then you throw in, and that doesn't include fuel and the 600-pound topper on the back.
Yeah.
So, you throw that stuff in there, and also, let's be real,
Yeah.
we're living in an RV, so we probably throw stuff in the bed, right?
Of course.
And just store stuff back there. So really, you're towing like 7,000 pounds, and that's 2,000 pounds over the hitch weight.
Well,
So I don't know what these Jeep Renegades weigh, but
Yeah.
they're much smaller, and they're still a truck. They're still 4x4. They're still 4-door, and I like that. I like that a lot, and it's something that I think it's something that we're considering if we change this car out next year. It's something we're considering. But then again, we get like 60 miles to the gallon on this car, and we get 20 miles of pure electric on it. We've owned it for like 4 months, and we fueled it I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's it.
it's amazing from that standpoint.
Oh, before I forget, it's the Gladiator. The Renegade's a different model.
The Gladiator. Yeah, you're right.
But the
You're
thing
totally
is,
right.
the thing is, I always like people always say stuff like that. Like I would just get a truck. But the thing is that sometimes if you're like us and you're doing rugged stuff, especially in tick country, you
Mhm.
get like all sorts of all sorts of little creatures inside your backpack, or it's just muddy and gross, and you just don't want it inside the cab with you. And that's
Yeah.
that's when something like the Gladiator would come in super handy. You can just throw all your stuff back there, you know.
Mm.
Because sometimes, you look at the back of like, some of these work trucks that we use and you realize we're using like 10% of the bed space to put in like four
Yeah.
backpacks and a cube of water.
Yeah, like the one time you need space is when you're taking a whole bunch of stuff out to an excavation or a
Yeah,
camping
that's
site or
it.
something like that. But to be honest, you could just buy a trailer
Yeah.
and trailer it out the few times you need it. And
Yeah.
then when you're using that vehicle in the field, I mean, desert pinstriping is called that for a reason, right? And
Yeah,
it's because all the trucks are too wide.
of course.
We have these two track roads in most cases out in Nevada here,
Yeah.
and they're called Jeep trails for a reason, right? Because they're narrow and they're small. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you're on a nice bladed, haul road, but a lot of times you're on just
Yeah.
a crappy little two track. And every single vehicle we have is too wide for
Yeah.
the roads.
And some
You
of
know,
them are too low. Like sometimes there's just a rock hiding in a
yeah,
sage in the middle of the road and
yeah,
you hit it. It's
yeah. And I would
interesting.
assume,
Oh, go ahead.
just real quick, I would assume that the Gladiator is similar to the Tacoma in that it's really field ready
Yeah.
from the factory.
Yeah.
It's probably got a decent clearance. I haven't looked underneath one to see because the Tacoma had everything from the transfer case and all that stuff just like tucked up inside, right? And like the whole thing had a good clearance, not just out by the wheels,
Yeah.
but the whole thing underneath had a really good ground clearance, and that
Yeah.
was one of the benefits of the Tacoma. I would just assume, being a Jeep, that the Gladiator's the same, but honestly, I don't know.
Well, oh God, what was I gonna say? It's interesting because it's a very long story, but my the fuel mileage for my truck is finally getting to me because one of the reasons why I got my truck was you were mentioning the two tracks in Nevada. Like, when I go to a campsite or whatever, I don't want to be stuck in it like a Honda CRV or something. But
Yeah,
where I'm currently working, they say you quote unquote need a four-wheel drive vehicle, but all the biologists ride around in Subaru Foresters. And the Forester gets almost 30 miles to the gallon, and their resale value is terrible. It's
yeah,
absolutely terrible. And I'm thinking, you know, if this project lasts like, I mean, I don't know how long I'm gonna be on this project, but this project lasts 6 months, and I buy a Forester for like 3 or 4 thousand bucks, and just use it and then sell it at the end of the project, that would that would almost pay for itself because my Tacoma right now gets about 15 miles to the gallon with the
yeah.
with the lift and the tires and everything, and I'm like, man, twice the mileage because I kid you not, I gas up every single day,
Yep.
and I don't really feel
I
like
hear
putting
you.
200 miles on my truck every day for like 6 months.
I mean, that's the real nice thing about this C-Max. Not that this will be at all a field vehicle, but just thinking of the plug-in hybrid concept.
Mm,
Because a pure plug-in, people get,
yeah,
pure electric vehicle, people still get freaked out about that, even though it's getting better and better. But people get freaked out because they're like, well, first off, if I'm going on a big trip, which how often do you do that? But if I'm going on a big trip and I can't like plug it in,
yeah,
let's look at like the project we were just on.
yeah,
I mean, sure, we were getting gas at the mine where we were working, but
yeah,
if we didn't have that, we'd either have to go back to Elko, or we were already considering bringing gas cans out,
yeah. I remember
once a
that.
week so we could do the field week, right?
Yeah,
And but you can't bring cans of electricity out, and you can't bring batteries big enough to charge a car like that. So unless you've got a solar setup
yeah.
or some way to plug it in, which luckily we were at an RV park and we had a way to plug that in. But if
Oh,
you're
it's
on a
true.
normal camping project where you're out camping in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
people are just, it's easy to bring gas cans. It's much more difficult only because we're not set up for it
yeah.
to charge the vehicles overnight. And so people freak out over that. But let's just say that you do get the plug-in version, which has a gas engine, a gas
Yeah,
hybrid engine that just naturally is going to get way better gas mileage. Even in a truck, they probably get 40 miles to the gallon,
yeah,
minimum. But then if you've got the plug-in version, you've got pure electricity that you can use for a certain number of miles. And the cool thing about ours is,
yeah,
like when we were working on that project, and I was going into Elko occasionally with the car, and
yeah,
then we were, I don't know, last couple of weeks I've been on some things where I had to get on some interstate stuff just a couple of days for the car, and it adjusts what it thinks you can do on the battery because it
Oh,
tells you your miles to no electricity, and then you're on
yeah,
your gas. and it adjusts the same thing for the miles to empty on your gas as
Ah,
well.
yeah.
And when we were doing all that, it was lowering and lowering, and I thought maybe the batteries were having an issue because it is a
Yeah.
4-year-old car. And it was down to like 13 miles on pure electric, and
Really?
we were getting 20, 21 when we first got it. Well,
Ah,
now after a week in Myrtle Beach of just driving on the electricity most of the time, because we drive from our RV park to the house my wife's family was staying at, and then back to the RV park at the end of the day, and that was round trip about 20 miles, and we started getting well, it was about 17 miles or so. We started getting close to that because it was getting more efficient because we were driving slower at slower speeds.
oh,
So
gotcha.
the thing was reassessing itself. And now we just went out for a little drive this morning, and it was back up from a full charge. It said we had 20 miles to go to empty. And that's
Ah,
mostly accurate if you keep your speeds under like 40 miles per hour and you don't get on the gas and stuff like that. And
interesting.
Rachel filled up when we were down in Myrtle Beach, and I didn't look at
Yeah.
the miles to empty in the gas tank. Normally it's around 500 miles to empty on the
Yeah.
gas tank alone. And now it's up to 571. And that's
Ah,
for like 12 gallons of gas. That's a full tank.
cool.
And gas out here was like $1.80. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh,
So,
my God.
and that's the other nice thing about the car is we can plug it in right here at the RV park too,
Yeah.
and not have to worry about it. So anyway, my next vehicle will be a plug-in hybrid or pure electric, either way.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, that like, how did you even fill up the what was it, the Chevy Volt you were watching?
no, I think like two or maybe twice over the course of the whole winter. We had it for probably 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, that's
That thing had a
crazy.
way better battery capacity. I think it was only about 40 miles you got on pure electric.
Yeah.
But my wife was using it to go to work, and she had a round trip drive to work of I think 15 miles. And so she would just get back and plug it in, and we almost never charged it because that was not our car. We were just watching it for someone, and the benefit of watching it for free was that, and taking up a parking spot was just she would drive it to work. So if we had to go out of town or something, we never took that car. We always took my truck,
Ah,
just
which
because
is
it
nice
wasn't
of
our
you.
car. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we could have, but we just used it for in-town stuff, and that was pretty much it. So
Yeah.
I think we put gas in it maybe twice the whole time we owned it.
Oh
Yeah.
God, you know what you're talking about electricity, and one of those things I bought was one of those big RV one of those big solar generators, like the big Goal Zero ones. Except this
Oh,
one is a
really?
Rock Pals one because they're having a crazy good sale where originally it's $300 and now it's on sale for I think 189.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's not as like it's not their fanciest model. Their fanciest model comes with a wireless charging pad, but I'm like, I don't need that. I just need like I just literally it's just gonna sit in my truck when I'm out there monitoring. That way I don't have to run my truck when I need to charge my laptop.
Now, what kind of? I'm trying to think in terms of external batteries. When you
Yeah.
say like a 30,000 milliamp battery, stuff like that, what's the total capacity on that thing? Do you know?
Let's see. It lists itself as being able to charge a modern laptop computer 5 to 6 times, and then
Jesus.
yeah, so it's got a lot of power, and it could theoretically run one of those camping fridges, like pretty much all day, if I wanted. But obviously, I'm going back to motels, so I don't need like a plug-in fridge or anything.
That's got to be at least 100, 150 amps then.
Yeah, something
That's
like that.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's huge.
and it's crazy how cheap it is. Like I was like, man, like
Hmm.
I'm always looking at the Goal Zeros when I'm at REI, and then I was looking
Yeah.
at this, and I'm like, and I went on Amazon to check all the reviews and all that stuff. So hopefully it's good. We'll see.
Hmm.
It's one of those things like where people, my viewers on Happy Archaeology Fun Time should look out for a review for it, coming out sometime next year.
Nice. Nice.
Also by the way, I know I remember you had the Yeti, right? The Yeti
The
cooler.
cooler. Yeah.
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 And so I bought the Walmart equivalent and was trying and have
Hmm.
been trying it out for like the past month, and it is shocking how good it is for $80. It's like
Nice.
it's the Lifetime brand that you see like all these work trucks like carrying around.
Hmm.
And I was, when I was camping, I actually brought out my old igloo, which is an extreme. It's supposedly guaranteed to keep your ice cold for like 4 days. And then this Lifetime cooler, which is guaranteed to keep your ice cold for 5 days, and had them sitting next to each other, filled them with the same stuff, just because I brought all the same stuff and then filled them with ice at
Yeah.
all the same time. Everything exactly the same. And the Walmart brand cooler basically wasn't even out of ice by the end of the week.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
literally, I just
that's
came
really
back
cool.
and it's still full of. And I came back from monitoring for a week and it's still full of ice, even though it's sitting in my truck and like in the sun all day.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
darn. Hopefully you're watching
yeah,
on.
we were
Oh, go ahead.
say regarding batteries. One of my big goals for this RV is
Yeah.
switching our lead acid batteries in the RV over to lithium,
Ooh.
and also putting a solar array on the roof. And we were just watching one of our favorite YouTube channels.
Yeah.
It's called RV Love,
Oh.
and yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're a little annoying sometimes, but they've got a lot of good information. And they actually got rid of their newer RV, their first one, and they bought an older RV. They bought it for like $40,000 or $45,000 or something.
Wow.
But it's this old Class A diesel,
Yeah.
and they've got a friend that lives in Oregon, and they've been doing a total remodel on it. Now, when I say
yeah.
they're doing this now, we're probably a year behind on their videos.
Yeah.
So this was like last year sometime, or maybe
Yeah.
even sooner, farther back that they were doing this. But they did a total gut job and a remodel on this thing. And one of the things they did was they
Ooh.
put in a full electric residential 18 cubic foot refrigerator, like a normal size
Yeah.
big refrigerator in there. And like a lot of your RV refrigerators, now ours is a pretty good size. We've got
Yeah.
a decent sized refrigerator, but
It's still small.
it's an RV refrigerator. It's still a little small, and it's
Yeah.
we have an ice maker, which is somewhat rare in RV refrigerators.
Yeah.
And but it's also electric and propane, so it'll switch between
Yeah.
electric and propane automatically based on what's available to it, right? It defaults to electric if it's there. If it's not there, like if we're running too many amps or something like that, it'll just kick off and go to the propane.
Ah.
Well, they're trying to go off grid as much as possible, and being on propane is not being off grid because you
Yeah.
have to have your propane filled, right?
Yeah.
So you want to use the propane as little as possible. So
Yeah.
they've got this array of lithium batteries, and because a lithium battery, one lithium battery is smaller than your typical lead acid battery,
Yeah.
but it holds a ton more. So they're
Yeah.
able to fit like twice as many lithium batteries in the space as lead acid, but have like 4 times the capacity.
Yeah. And
And
are they going with the Volta system? Because that's the one I've heard a lot of people switching to.
their batteries are from a company called Battleborn, and they're not from Nevada.
Oh, wait, they're not?
Yeah.
Because I thought they were.
Oh, maybe they are. I didn't think they were, but maybe they are.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
they
I had
are.
looked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, a lot of people are going with the Battleborn batteries that I've seen in the RV world.
Yeah.
And the Battleborn lithium. And so they put those in, and then they put 6 solar panels. They bolted them to the roof, and they've got 1,000 watts of solar coming in. And they're basically completely off the grid now, as far as that goes. They hardly ever need to use their propane.
Yeah.
Only for like the furnace and stuff like that. And they're able to run everything off the inside of their RV. Like for us, if we go pure battery power,
Yeah.
this RV is not even really set up for that. Like we get the 2 outlets in front here on our inverter. The 2 outlets in the front of the coach
Yeah.
are live. 1 outlet in the bedroom is live,
Ah.
and the refrigerator works. The TVs work.
Yeah.
The HD antenna works. But like if I want to run the microwave, if I want
Yeah.
to run the air conditioners, oddly, the furnace, the heaters work off the electricity too, off the inverter. But if I
Yeah.
want to run the refrigerator off that, it won't work. It's going to run on propane. And if I want to
Ah.
run the microwave, it won't work. I've got to turn on the generator. So because we're just not pulling enough amps with
Yeah.
our inverter to give that stuff power, but their inverter is giving them, not only did they upgrade their inverter,
Yeah.
but it's giving them a ton of amps so they can run pretty much everything
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I know a lot of RVs are coming standard with the Volta system. It's like Volt with an A at the end, and like the Winnebago Travados, like the not
Oh,
the
yeah.
Sprinter based ones, because but the Dodge whatever, or the Ram whatever
Mhm.
vans. Let's see, the standard Travado is like $70,000, but if you spec out the Volta system with it, it jumps to I think 130,000 or something
Jesus.
crazy like that.
That can't be a $50,000 unit, though. I mean, come on.
Well, it's not the Volta isn't, but you gotta include the battery and everything else.
Oh, you get a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, and then the solar panels.
Yeah. Well, you can go full. like if we converted this thing to full lithium with an upgrade on capacity, and
Yeah.
then we'd probably need a new inverter, and if we put solar on the roof, then we had a controller to run it all, and then we did the install.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're probably looking at about $10,000-$15,000 to do that full job.
Yeah.
If we went like
Yeah.
as much as we could do, right? If we went top notch, paid somebody else to do all the work,
Yeah.
that's probably what it would cost. We more than likely, if we did it, we would do it. We would do it at a smaller scale, but with room for expansion. Later
Ah.
on.
Yeah.
Because I personally, I think the biggest cost would be a new inverter. I
Yeah,
think that would
it is.
be probably pretty expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the batteries themselves are expensive too. But what I would want is basically have somebody do the initial work so I can watch them do it and I can see what was done. And then if we want to throw in extra batteries or if we want to put more solar panels on the roof, it's just plug into the existing system rather than rewire a whole new system. So
Ah.
I'd rather have a pro do the initial rewire, because we'd have to do something like that, because like the controller, there's a digital controller that goes with this stuff. It would have to get mounted somewhere with wires running through the walls, and I'm just not comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
And that's
So-
like, I mean, I mean, not to it reminds me of when you tried to install your stereo.
Man, talk about a pain in the neck, right?
Yeah.
If you're just not, I had the thing hooked up and running. It was really just getting it jammed into the dash. I didn't know
Yeah.
some of the tips and tricks around doing that. If I had just gone in there and snipped out 2 feet worth of wiring,
Yeah.
it would have been super easy, but then you'd never get the damn thing out. So,
Oh.
but there's little tips and tricks that I saw the guy when I actually brought it in somewhere to get him. Because when you say install, I had done 99% of the install. The last
Yeah.
part I couldn't do was shove it into the dash and screw it down. It just
Oh.
wouldn't go. There was too much wiring back there. Everything else was working fine.
Oh.
And I just couldn't get that one little bit. And I probably worked for a couple hours trying to get my hand up in and around. And I thought I was just not doing it right. Well, I wasn't doing it right. And it turns out there was a kind of a trick to where you can put the wires, and I just couldn't see it. I tried
Yeah?
everything but that. So, yeah, it
Oh,
was.
well, before we run out
Yeah.
of room, I did want to bring you up to speed. My God, I had quite an adventure with my Tacoma
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
I didn't post it on any of my social medias, but it's a very long story. But I went to answer an email, and the
Mhm.
road we were on had been very recently graded, and there are no shoulders. So I pulled off. I pulled off
Yeah.
the road, because at the first place I got reception, and then when I'm done answering my emails and calls and stuff, I try to pull out, and the truck just starts digging in, and then
Uh-oh.
and then it goes down. It goes down into like the side of the road, and I'm trying to like drive any way I can to get out, and then I throw it in 4-wheel drive low, and it feels like it's about to pull out of its thing, and then it just starts acting weird, like the front wheels just start spinning, and that is the point, by the way, at which I snapped the drive shaft.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then
Ah.
and I didn't realize I'd snapped it, so I keep trying to pull it out. And as I'm continuing to try to pull it out, the truck is actually getting further on the side of the road, not closer. And that's when I find out that the stuff I had bought to use as recovery equipment at the local Lowe's does not work.
Mhm.
So, word of advice: don't buy recovery equipment from Lowe's. Like
All
if
right
you're
then.
gonna buy a rubber mat or something to throw down on the ground, they don't work. But anyway, and so I have to get a ride back to camp. Thankfully, this road is surprisingly busy, relatively busy. No one stops except for one guy who's working for the
Mhm.
BLM, and so he brings me back to camp. And then we get back to camp, and our field director / company owner decides to come help me pull up the truck, and we're trying to hook up the tow strap. And I thought, well, 20 feet. When I originally bought it, I thought 20 feet's long enough, and it was just like
Mhm.
an inch or two too short. We did finally get it out, and it was a total pain because I had no cell phone reception, so I had to leave it to my mom to get it towed out. And by the way,
Jeez.
I would recommend to everyone, don't use your company's your insurance 24-hour roadside assistance. Spend the $110 and get AAA, because that was the most painful thing. This is like the part where it gets fun, because I was on the phone with 21st Century, and for some weird reason they were obsessed with having it towed to Meridian, Idaho. And by the way, I should point out that the point where I'm in like Idaho, in southern Idaho, and there's a town like 20 miles away with 3 garages, and then there's Boise, which is like an hour and a half, and then there's Meridian. So she was trying to send it 3 cities away, and I'm like, why are you so obsessed with sending it to Meridian? Just send it to Mountain Home, Idaho. And I keep trying to,
Yeah.
and for 40 minutes, as my phone is about to die, I keep arguing with her about sending it to Mountain Home. And she's like, is Mountain Home? There's no Mountain Home car repair. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, she didn't even know Mountain. I kept saying Mountain Home is a town. And then, and the crazy part is that even though she sounded like she had a southern accent, she had never heard of Idaho because she didn't know how to pronounce it. She's like, Idaho?
Wow.
Or whatever. Like, she had to sound it
Yeah.
out. And I'm like, oh my God. So that was quite the experience. And of course, letting my mom deal with it was both a good and a bad idea because obviously she got taken care of. But
Yeah.
I ended up paying a shit ton more money. I probably shouldn't swear, but I ended up spending a lot more money on it than I should have because my mom was like yes to everything. So, you
Yeah.
know, yes to the headlight polish, yes to this, yes to that. And I'm like, oh my God. So the
Yeah.
total bill was a lot.
Yeah.
Like a whole lot.
I can imagine.
And the worst part
But
is
you're-
that the tow truck company, I wasn't there because I didn't know that they were sending out the tow truck because my phone was dead. And so the 21st Century wanted to send it 3 cities away, but it actually ended up 4 cities away from where I was.
Wow.
And so my mom had to get it out, get it out of that tow yard and have it towed to a different place.
Jeez.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's totally crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
But your truck's running fine now?
Oh yeah, everything except the wheel alignment. They while they were at it, they replaced one of the front half shafts, which I was gonna have done when I got back to Reno, but since my mom
Yeah.
was like on the phone with them, she just had them do it. But it was out of
Yeah.
alignment, so you know I got to bring it in for alignment and tires tomorrow.
Nice. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my God, and I thought that was crazy, but the project I'm on now is super crazy. In fact, let me throw on my thing. The one thing I have to wear. I'm not sure how. I probably forget how hard the lag is, but I'll throw it on for a few seconds. I can't actually talk when I've got it on, but I'll throw it on, or I'll
Mhm.
actually hold it up. I'll just hold it up and wait till you can see it. But basically, I am working in California, and there is a lot of smoke in California. And when I first got to the first place I was monitoring, I got out and thought I had gotten like 30-second lung cancer, like literally in 30 seconds. Like it was that bad. Like I thought I had emphysema right then because I literally just had
Jeez.
the worst coughing fit because in the email I got, it said, bring an N95 or a respirator. And I actually went down and got a respirator just because I thought,
yeah.
well, it'll be cool. Oh, wait, you can see it now? Anyway, I got a respirator because I thought it'd be cool.
Hold on a
And
second. Yeah.
and the first thing I did, as soon as I pulled up that site the first time, was I went and opened up the package with the respirator and put it on. Like it was that bad. It was so
Yeah.
bad. It's like people do not understand how bad it is. Oh my God. Like, and the thing
Yeah.
is, I wear this thing all day now, aside from when I have to talk to people, because this thing actually works so well that actually have to you know, like pull it forward slightly, so that way I can talk to people.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my phone here. That's why I've got my phone up because
Yeah.
to save my bandwidth, I'd ended up shutting the Facebook feed off on my
Ah.
computer here. So, but man, yeah, that looks real fun,
Ugh.
especially in the heat and you
Yeah.
know everything else.
Oh my
Saving
God.
your lungs though.
Well, yeah, and the craziest part is that the smoke, like obviously the smoke level goes up and down, and increases
Yeah.
like worsens the air quality as the day goes through. And most
Yeah.
afternoons where I was, it was so bad that that the whole crew, including myself, had to cab up. So basically, they got like 3 hours worth of work done almost every day. Almost every day I was
Yeah.
out there. They got 3 hours worth of work done in the morning, and then the afternoon from about 11 or 12 or so till about 5.
Mhm.
I'm like
Yeah,
sitting in the
for sure.
truck, and since it's my personal vehicle, unlike everyone else who's got a rental or a work truck, I can't just leave it on with the air conditioning running. So I just gotta sit there and either sweat or like leave the windows open a little, which obviously worsens the air quality.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
that's also the other reason I would never bring, like, if I do end up buying like a video editing laptop, I would never bring it with me up there. That's the reason why I've got these ThinkPads, because
Yeah.
I feel like oh my God, it's crazy how much dust gets into your vehicle. It's like everything feels gross.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's crazy.
We're still cleaning dust out of some corners of this RV just after being in Nevada for a month up on that project.
Yeah.
You know?
And remember,
Yeah,
we were smelling smoke when we were over there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm actually in it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, there's another YouTube channel we follow with this family that's on a sailboat,
Yeah.
and they just a few weeks ago they got down through the
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge. They're coming down the coast from Washington State. They've been coming down since like December,
Yeah.
and but they got stopped in a bunch of marinas and stuff for COVID and things like that. So now they're on the move
Ooh.
again, and they're going up the California Delta. And in fact, they have a lot of things that they want to do that require hauling the boat out of the water.
Yeah.
So and one of the few places you can haul out in that area is actually at the Napa Marina. So you got to go up the Napa River and then up to the Napa Marina. We actually spent the night at the Napa Marina once in our boat.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And yeah, we boated up to Napa from the Pittsburgh Marina and did some wine tasting, and then came down to the Napa Marina for the evening, spent the night there, and then we actually ended up Ubering back into town for dinner because we were up there in the afternoon, and then Ubered back, but anyway, they're there.
Yeah.
But when they were in not San Francisco Bay, but just kind of up in that next bay, from San Francisco Bay, they were there for a few days, and they were so surprised at the smoke that was just dropping ash and stuff on their boat, and their boat's all white, of course, and their ash was just everywhere.
Oh my God, you ought to see my truck today. Like I haven't had a
yeah.
chance to wash it. It is gross.
Yeah.
And the thing
I
is
bet,
that it's
I
not
bet.
like that, just like that on the outside. It's like that on the inside because obviously I had to keep the windows open for part of the day,
Right.
just so I could,
Right.
just so I wouldn't like bake. Oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But on the
Yeah.
other hand, it's since I'm commuting from Fresno, I am getting crazy amounts of hours.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So-
I think the average is supposed to be 12, but
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I realize you're looking at your watch. So let's see. Before we go, I didn't want to say one more thing I just bought. I'm staying at a fancy motel, so I can't necessarily cook. So what I did was I finally broke
Mhm.
down, went to the Walmart and bought one of these small-sized Instant Pots.
Nice.
And it's kind of
Nice.
crazy. It's like it's not as, I mean, I'll probably do a full review on it, but it's not as, how can I put this? For basic things like grilling a steak or pan frying a steak or something, it's not as good as my vintage like electric cooking equipment. But for
Sure.
for like pressure cooking, like I pressure cook some brats and beer, for the first
Yeah.
go around, and it's crazy. Like literally, you just set it and then you can walk away and like do whatever. It's super cool.
I know. One of the things we did last week for the we cooked dinner for the whole family one time, and we
Oh.
did it in the Instant Pot, and we made tacos basically, and
Yeah.
I did some ground beef just in a pan to have a second
Yeah.
option, but one of my wife's favorite ones to make that's super easy is she just takes chicken breasts, like
Yeah.
thawed chicken breasts, throws those in the Instant Pot. Doesn't do anything to them. You just throw them in the Instant Pot, and then you take a jar of salsa, dump it on top of it.
Really?
We just kind of doubled it and put in we put in I think 2 chicken breasts, covered it in a jar of salsa, put in 2 more chicken breasts, covered it in
Yeah.
another jar of salsa. So any salsa of your choosing. And then it's called salsa chicken. And then she just covered it, pressure cooked it for I think it was 25 minutes or something like that, or 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it takes like 10 minutes to come up to pressure, then it cooks for like 20
Yeah.
minutes, and then it's got to come down from pressure. So you're still looking at about 45 minutes or so. But then you just like take a couple forks and shred the chicken, and you've got chicken, salsa chicken for tacos or whatever you want to put it on, rice,
Ooh. Cool.
whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool, easy recipe.
Ooh. Wow, I might have to try that.
And I think she's making turkey chili in the Instant Pot tonight for dinner.
Ooh.
So again, it's a dump everything in, cover it,
Yeah.
turn it on, and come back 30 minutes later to eat dinner. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Oh my
yeah, it's
God.
pretty good. So, but I was actually looking at my watch because first off, I could see it in the screen here, and I've got the new
Oh, I remember
Apple
you
Watch
talking about
Series
that.
6. Yeah, and so if you heard that episode of the Archaeotech
Yeah.
podcast, this won't be too new to you, but our audience here might not have heard it. And I just got to say how impressed I am with the compass on this thing. It's
Ooh.
got just a super cool compass display. It's actually trying to. I don't know if you can see.
Well, we can't hear Chris, but he's trying to demonstrate it.
Can't see it.
Oh, cool. Wow, that actually is cool.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool display, and like I said in the Archaeotech
Ooh.
podcast, it will show you it knows where the front of the watch is, so I can
Yeah.
use my arm accordingly, and it's showing me appropriately, and
Yeah.
I can set a bearing, and it will show me my offset from the bearing that I'm trying to
Yeah.
walk, and it shows me the
Ooh.
compass bearing that I'm looking at, like right
Yeah.
there. And with the always on bright display of the new Series 6 watch,
Yeah.
I can actually kind of take it up right just slightly bent towards my face, and
Yeah.
I could actually probably use this as just my only compass, right? Because it
Ah.
only needs to be accurate within a couple degrees anyway to do
Yeah.
transect work. And I could set the bearing that I want to walk here, and just by doing a long press, I can set the
Yeah.
bearing, and then
Ah.
turn to where I'm pointing that bearing, hold it up like this, and be very accurate in where I'm walking and where I'm going. And
Oh.
that's amazing to me. Yeah.
Well, for people who are need a point of reference, how does it compare to say, was it God, not TerraSync, but the app everyone uses with TerraSync, because obviously that's got like an app that's got like a compass built into one of the screens and stuff. How does it compare to that? Because I remember that compass always jumped around.
Well, I mean, the compass on any app is going to use the compass within the device,
Yeah.
right? It's not the software that's really doing it; it's the device that's doing it.
Yeah.
So if you got a compass that's jumping around on a piece of software, it's more than likely because of the case you have on it, or the device, or something else is failing, or something else is interfering with
Oh
it.
no, I meant like
And
the Trimble, because whenever you open
oh,
up,
like on the Tribble,
yeah,
yeah,
like how does it
that
compare to
TerraSync.
that
I was
sort of
thinking,
how does that compare to
right.
like that?
Well, first off, it's super smooth, but I I could imagine if this thing were getting some erroneous readings,
Yeah.
that Apple would artificially smooth it. I don't have any doubt about that. I
Oh.
imagine that it wouldn't just jump around, and if it's like not picking up a signal or something like that,
Yeah.
I think Apple would just leave it smooth and let it adjust itself. So if you're going to be off on your compass for a little bit, you're probably not going to know that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what they're doing or not, but I could see Apple doing something like that,
Yeah.
because this is not a professional,
Yeah.
survey grade compass. This is a compass on your arm on your watch, so they're not
Oh.
concerned with a high degree of accuracy.
By the way, this trick will
Yeah.
actually be interesting to you and to anyone else who's using a tablet in the field who's like having trouble figuring out like, because I remember you switched the minis because you wanted to stick it in the pocket of your safety vest. But what
Yeah.
I saw recently is when I was working in Southern Idaho is that the person I was working with, he got a case that had like a ring or whatever or a lanyard hoop.
Uh huh.
And so he just put one of those carabiner clips in it and was just clipping it to his vest that way.
Nice.
And so, like, if he's using something like a map app, God, I always forget the Avenza or something, and he was like trying to navigate to an area, he could just like flip it up for a quick second or whatever. Or if he was recording tracks of himself walking, he could flip it up just to make sure he wasn't like wandering too far offline or whatever. And I thought, wow, that's actually a really good idea because I don't think I've ever seen anyone else doing that.
Yeah. The only thing I would question on that is how much does it bounce around while you're really walking? How much does it flop around on you while you're moving around or trying to climb over rocks or do whatever. It's the
True.
only thing I would be concerned with. But if it doesn't bug you and it's working fine, then yeah, that's a good solution.
More importantly, it
Yeah.
makes it harder to drop it or impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like we've
Well, and
all
the
been
one
on those
thing,
projects where someone drops a Trimble around the face.
yeah. Well, and I had a new vest for this last project because the last
Oh
one I
yeah.
had it was super old. It's just like falling
Yeah.
apart. But I had a new vest for this last project, and the Velcro on the inside pocket where I normally put my iPad was
Yeah.
so good because it's brand new Velcro. Like normally with my old one, I could just like kind of hold on to the outside of my vest and start to put the tablet in and like rip
Yeah.
the Velcro apart with the tablet and stick it in.
Yeah.
But this one was such a pain in the ass because the Velcro was so new. I'd have to get in there like with two hands,
Ah.
hold the iPad under my shoulder, and then rip that thing open and then try to stick the iPad in there. It was not
Ah.
convenient at all. It was great once it was in there because it was
Yeah.
nice and secure and it didn't go anywhere. But if I'm
Yeah.
in and out with it, it was a real pain in the ass. But that's more first world problems. I can deal
True.
with it.
Oh my God. Speaking of
Yeah.
first world problems, it's a long story, but see, the company I'm working for, everyone's starting out. Basically, we're trading off equipment here and there, and sometimes people end up with different tablets than they started out with. And so sometimes the
Yeah.
reference materials or the forms they started filling out aren't in there because it's a different tablet. They're not like, and we're using Survey 123 and you can't like sync it across like, all devices or whatever. And so for me personally, that's the reason why I have been using my own personal device and just signing into the company to the
Mm,
proper account. And I would recommend everyone do that
yeah.
because, you know, it just makes it a lot simpler in trying to use some of these company tablets. I mean, not like there's anything wrong with the tablets we're getting. Like the tablet I was handed was very handy, was very nice, was like practically brand new. But yeah, if you need to like keep something, if you need to keep equipment or you need to keep information with you, like forms you already started, like Survey 123 or something like that, I would
Hmm.
always recommend just using your own device. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we know, there's always problems with people using their own devices,
I know.
especially. Well, it's from both sides too, right? Like people are
Yeah.
like, I don't want to use that because you're not paying me, and the company doesn't want them to use it because if they break it, they're going to say I need a new $1,000 iPhone. You know, so
True.
um, that's a huge problem for company owners because a lot of people in archaeology have older devices that aren't
Oh
actually
my
made
God.
anymore,
Yeah.
and they're not even replaceable at the current rate. So you've got to buy them the newer version, which is going to cost you a lot of money. And I mean, you just got to make a choice. Is that what you're gonna, are you gonna choose to spend that money when somebody needs their device replaced, or are you gonna buy a device now and then
Ah.
own it? I mean, I think it's probably cheaper in the long run to take the off chance that someone's gonna break their device,
Oh,
or
true.
even if they break it on purpose. I think that would be cheaper in the long run, to just
Oh,
buy them a new phone or tablet.
remember when we were in Yuma and that poor guy, like had to delete all his photos and all his apps because
Oh
his
my
phone was
god,
so
because he
old.
had like 4 gigabytes total on his entire phone. Yeah, he was he was running a Google device that probably had an operating system that wasn't even named after candy.
But I will say, if you buy used, your
Yeah,
phone, like you can get a pretty decent Android device or actually any phone, Apple or Android, for pretty
yeah.
cheap. And I did want to say that my personal phone has actually been run over by a car with a different app with a when it had its first OtterBox case. So, I
Yeah,
feel pretty comfortable
yeah,
bringing it in the field with me.
yeah. I bet. So,
Cool.
all right, man. Well, I've got to set up for a client call here soon.
Yeah.
So, I guess thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah.
And if
Including
you
Mark
are
Silver.
listening to including Mark Silver, wow, there you
Yeah,
go.
he says,
Um,
"Oh man, lunch is over. Missed you guys."
nice, nice.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if we can get into a good groove on time. Maybe
we'll
when I
see.
get back to Charlotte in a couple of weeks, I'll have a more persistent, regular schedule
Well,
for at
hopefully so
least
will
two
I.
months. I'll have a good schedule for 2 months, and you will too. So maybe we
Yeah.
can get back on a regular thing.
Yeah.
We just got to figure a good time because now you're West Coast and I'm East Coast, and I don't want to do it at 7 o'clock at night. So,
Oh, that's true. Or
um,
actually, it'd probably be since I'm working like 12-hour days minimum. My God, would definitely have to be on one of my days off.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. And
Yeah.
again, if you want to see the replay of this, if you're on the audio
Yeah.
and you want to see the video, you can see it at facebook.com/arcpodnet
Yep.
or on Richie's resources.
At Happy Archaeology Fun Time, which is a website and my YouTube channel. And hopefully you appreciate all the work I'm going to be doing after my 12-hour days because I'm going to be editing videos in that motel room from now on.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. Thanks everybody.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time, whenever that is.
Yeah. Haha. Hopefully before Christmas.
Hopefully before Christmas.
Let's see.